So recently got this die-cast Mustang GT from a store nearby and I wanted to showcase it like a display piece on my desk. So I decided to design and 3D print a special display stand for it. So I did what any normal person does these days. I asked ChatGPT for a few suggestions. ChatGPT gave me a lot of ideas. Some crazy, some unrealistic and some really cool. But this particular design stood out. It seemed futuristic and doable with the electronics that I already have. Now with the design finalized, I started working on the electronics. These are all the electronics I plan to use for this project. The 16 LED ring and the 8 LED strip will be controlled using an ESP32 flashed with WLED, which lets me control the lighting wirelessly over Wi-Fi using my phone. And I made this simple custom zero board PCB to plug in the ESP32 so I didn't have to solder it directly and it can easily be reused for other projects later. Some wires for connections and a USB cable for power supply. Let's take a look at the circuit I designed for this project. The 16 LED ring, 8 LED strip and the ESP32 are powered using an external 5V USB power source. The positive from the 5V goes to the LED ring, the LED strip and also to the V-in of the ESP32. All the grounds need to be common, so the ground of the ESP32, the LED ring and the LED strip are connected together. The LED ring data input is connected to pin 5 of the ESP32 and the LED strip data input is connected to pin 18. To test this circuit, I first connected the ESP32 to my computer and flashed WLED on it. Then I set up the Wi-Fi on the ESP32 via WLED app. Now the ESP32 was ready. I first connected all of this on a breadboard and tested it out. And once everything was working as expected, it was time to design the actual model. I jumped into Fusion 360 and started blocking out the basic shape. I took proper measurements of all the components so I could design everything around the electronics instead of trying to force things in later. For the lamp head, I designed a sleek body with a slot for the LED ring and a lid that sits over it to cover and diffuse the light. The lid will diffuse the light and make it look softer and more even on the car. I then designed the vertical column with an internal groove to route the wires and 2 rectangular notches at the bottom to attach to the base. For the base, I went with a rectangular block that has enough internal volume to house all the electronics along with a slot at the front for mounting the LED strip. I also added slots at the top of the base to mount the vertical column. Then I added a slot for mounting the car platform. This pedestal gives the car a floating appearance. Next, I designed a slidable internal platform to house the ESP32 and keep all the wiring neatly organized inside the base. After a few iterations, I was finally happy with the design. This is how the final design looked. Since this had to be 3D print friendly, I designed the model in multiple parts. The lamp head, vertical frame and base are all separate pieces that can be printed easily and assembled later. Next step was 3D printing. Instead of printing the full model immediately, I first printed a few small sections to check the fit and tolerances. There were some minor issues which I corrected on the design and then the final model was ready for print. I started printing the models and the parts came out really clean and precise. And honestly, watching my design come to life like this was super satisfying. Once all the parts were ready, I started the assembly. The first step was placing the LED ring onto its slot inside the lamp head. Right after that, I fitted the lamp lid on top so the LED ring stays securely in place. Next, I routed the LED wires from the lamp head through the vertical column and down into the base. Then I attached the lamp head to the vertical column using a bit of super glue. The vertical column then connects to the base using 2 small cubical extensions at the bottom. Once the column was fixed on the base, I installed the LED strip onto its slot from the inside of the base along with the diffuser cover. Then I soldered the wires on the zero board and used these electrical connectors for making all the remaining connections between the components. This is how the connections look like. Then I carefully slid the ESP32 enclosure into place inside the base. I then installed the platform where the car will sit. And with that, the stand was finally complete. With everything finally assembled, I placed the car on the platform, plugged in the USB cable, and connected my phone to the ESP32 through the WLED app. When the lights came on, it looked so much better than I had pictured in my head. The way the light fell on the car brought out all the small details, and suddenly it didn't feel like a DIY project anymore. It felt like an actual display piece. I kept cycling through different colors and effects using the WLED app. By the end of it, it had already found a permanent spot on my desk. And honestly, it's probably my favorite thing sitting there right now. This was honestly a very fun little project to work on, and I'm genuinely happy how it turned out. It may not be anything extraordinary, but taking a simple idea, something that started as a ChatGPT suggestion, and turning it into a real working object is what made the whole process incredibly rewarding. In the future, I might even consider making the lights react to the music in my room. That feels like a natural next step. If you like this video, consider subscribing because I've got a lot more cool projects lined up. See you in the next one.